Man, this is a complicated topic because I can't suggest this movie to you. At the same time, I don't believe in censoring filmmakers. But at the same time, I can't endorse exploiting 11-year-olds in the way that this film does. Now, its critics will tell you the message is worthy. The message is important. Like, it's supposed to trigger you. It's supposed to upset you. Like, they aren't endorsing this. They are showing you how bad it's getting. And other critics will say, critics of the people who are saying, boycott, cancel Netflix, cancel Cuties. They'll say, well, but look, you're talking about it. Andy, you're making a video about it. You were making this a point. And the truth is, they're right. Like, this movie really bothered me. Not just for the obvious reasons, but it bothered me because I realized this is happening in society. And it's not this movie's doing. Like, it's been happening in society before this movie. So I am like struggling because I don't want to suggest this movie to you to see. Because I don't like how I don't even want to share you the clips in question. I don't even want to talk about them. But there are a few scenes in this movie that it made me very uncomfortable and I don't think are appropriate for 11-year-olds to do. I can't, I'm not okay with it. And while the movie is beautiful at times and emotionally, like the actress, the lead, the star girl, she's phenomenal in this movie. Like, it's heartbreaking to watch this part. The lack of loss of innocence and sort of not knowing and wanting to become an adult, but still clearly being a child and just rebelling against your body and the things you're going through. Like, these are legit issues that should be talked about in movie. Like, I have no problem with that. However, all of that said, and while the conversation is valid and part of me does believe the conspiracy that Netflix did all this on purpose. They made that marketing on purpose so we would be talking about it because that was the whole point of the movie. While I hear all of that, I can't endorse this movie, and I'm having trouble with all the critics who are, because in trying to tell you that this is wrong, they went and put 11-year-olds in situations that I just can't endorse. I don't like it. And I don't understand why they needed to go there. They didn't need to go there. It still would have been effective. It would have still been a strong movie. They didn't need to go and have these 11-year-old actresses have to do this. I don't see why we needed to do that. The end dance sequence that's been going around viral on Twitter, etc. Like, yeah, it's gross. It's gross, and the movie. The movie does. That's the point of it. It's too gross. The girl at the end is like brought to tears on stage and realizes that she doesn't want to do this. At the same time, I don't even think she really knew what she was doing. That's the whole theme of this movie, is that these kids are so young, they want to be old, but they're kids. They're trying to, and if you have kids, you know that happens. They're just rushing to be like their parents, to be like everybody else. They want to. They don't understand the innocence and the amazingness of it, and that like part gets me. Like, I'm getting emotional right now talking about that. The loss of innocence of children is like the worst thing in the world. It like I when kids have to learn the atrocities of the world or of people, like, I think that triggers all of us, right? And so that part of the movie is, it's like I can't knock the movie because it does have a visceral feeling of you just like, oh man, this sucks. Why is this happening in our society? However, at the same time, what is this sequence? Why did you need to focus on film it the way that was? Why? And then some will say, Andy, you being so upset is the reason this movie is important. That was what the goal was, to make you unhinged and show you things that are happening in the world, whether we like it or not, and trying to point out, like, we have to do something. This is happening to our children. So look, it's complicated, man. This movie and this topic are complicated. I can't endorse this movie. I don't think they needed to go there to get this message across. At the same time, the message of the film, and I think the message of the controversy and everything we're doing, it is a worthy topic that we really shouldn't just forget about once this movie phases out into oblivion. Like, we need to be better at protecting our kids. And we need to be better at not overly, I can't say the word on YouTube because then this video won't even be seen by you, but the sexualization of kids, that it's in the headline here that I'll show you quickly because, this is what's wrong with the film. It's a topic that's important. It's a topic that needs to be discussed, but I don't think we needed to see it. I don't think, and especially see it with a real 11-year-olds doing it. I'm not okay with that. Why is that worthy? Sure, okay, you've spurred the world to talk about this film. Okay, you've made me upset. Now we're talking about this issue. Okay, you couldn't have figured out a way to do it more subtly, to do it effectively without showing butts and stuff. I don't see how. I think that's lazy filmmaking. I think that's just gratuitous, lazy stuff that it could have been done more effectively, and it still could have been as emotional. And then the movie would have actually been seen, and it would have affected in a way where I've been like, you have to see this movie. It's so important that we talk about this. But I can't because there are moments in this movie, while realistic, sadly, in our society, I do think still glorify and exploit young actors, and I can't support it. So look, the reality of this movie, after finally doing the research and watching it and seeing it, it is a beautiful film. I understand why some critics are sort of rating it high marks. Like, I think its heart was in the right place, right? However, I think it just shows how misguided filmmakers and artists and Hollywood is to not acknowledge the fact that they didn't need to get so explicit to get the message across. And the fact that so many people are upset about that is valid. And I think people, are fair to not have to watch this movie because I think it's going to make people feel uncomfortable, and not in a way that it's like, oh, I must change. It's going to make them feel uncomfortable. Like, why did you make me watch that? I already knew that was bad. You didn't need to keep throwing it in my face over and over and over again. You didn't need to put these 11-year-olds through this stuff to teach me this lesson. Like, why? That to me is the problem with this movie. And I think we need to be careful because, again, the more we talk about it, the more it's going to make people go see it. And that's a problem. And the reality is, like, this isn't the first film to do it. Cuties is just one film, right? But I remember specifically when I was 15 or 16, I remember this movie, Kids, which was rated NC-17. And this movie's worse. I'll be honest. The themes in this movie are worse. What goes down in this movie is just abhorrent. You're just like, ugh. Gross. Oh my God, this is awful. But it's real. It's totally real. I mean, that's how kids were, especially in the 90s, and it's probably even worse now. I'm not a kid anymore, so I don't even know what's going on, but I can only imagine it's worse with the age now in the age of the internet. But this movie, starring Rosario Dawson, Chloe Sevigny, it's a rough movie to watch. And I remember watching it as a kid. I was 16, and it was an NC-17 movie. It was not easy to see, but I was able to see it. At that point, 16 isn't 11, but it's still probably, it probably was early for me, but at the same time, it was a warning sign movie. And I realized you watch this movie and you realize, oof, this is bad. But that's because I had good parents and stuff and knew and learned from it. But I could see how this movie might still glorify it to a younger audience. And I could see how Cuties will do the same. But this isn't the first time this has happened. My only comment is this was a harder movie to get. Back in the day, you had to go see this in a theater, or you had to go to the video store and rent it. But today, all you got to do is just go right here, and there it is. Okay, we can watch it. And I don't think enough parents even know how easy it is for kids to access their account on Netflix. I'm very careful of it, but dude, they log into their iPads, their iPhones, and it's there. And this movie now is not, it's not marketed as a drama. I mean, it says emotional. She's looking for acceptance and ways to rebel. But for a girl raised in strict culture, these are risky moves. And, while it's age gated, if a parent and the parent should do their job, it's very easy to restrict and make sure they don't have access to this because it is age gated. However, in today's technology world, a lot of parents just don't know and trust. And then this movie comes on and I worry it will send the wrong message. I do. So Look, it's complicated. It's a complicated story. I'm glad I saw it so I could actually be intelligent and talk about it. It is beautifully shot. There are parts of this movie that are good. I have to admit that. However, it's not good enough to warrant the scenes in it that are making people upset. And the fact that this is happening is I think fair. I mean, there's a petition and people canceling their Netflix. And look, I don't know if I'm going to go that far with it. But I mean, it's just watch Cuties and for yourself and apologize. No, I'm not going to apologize. I think, granted, the marketing wasn't her fault, but it's from the movie. That the posters and everything we saw and the reason people are upset is that's what the movie is. Now, granted, the message and the context sort of tries to make it clearly bad, everything they're doing. But there's reasons it's still trending number one. People don't like seeing kids in this type of role. And I don't understand why anyone would. And why did you have to resort to it? I don't know. Netflix has responded, and due to all this, they've sort of tried to make it their justification is, there is I'm trying to find the sorry, I thought I had here, but the film they did release a statement sort of justifying it, how it's not, sorry, it was here. I don't know where the statement went, but they did. It's a very sort of standing by it line that doesn't. Oh, here it is. It's a social commentary against the utilization of young children, and encourage critics to watch it. And critics are loving it. Critics are giving it a pass, and critics are liking it. And a lot of people online are now saying, "Oh, we'll see, Hollywood. The controversies are correct. There are all these." It's just, of course, they would. But I think critics are a lot of the ones who are going to especially like it are just highbrow film lovers who will see a lot of the pro filmmaking stuff in this movie, which there is. There's a lot of good stuff from a technical perspective. And I think they are watching the scenes that are bothering everybody, and they're watching it knowing like, oh my God, this is changing me. So they're liking it in that regard, right? I don't believe there's some conspiracy there to make this normalized. I don't believe that one. But did Netflix perhaps do it to stir up the controversy? Yeah, absolutely. Because it's getting people to talk about it. A little small Sundance indie film that no one would have ever talked about or seen. Now Netflix has yet another controversial piece in their movie. Guys, there's some heavy duty stuff on Netflix. If you go discover it, you can find some very adult stuff on Netflix that's hidden in there. So is this movie illegal? No, I don't think so. If it is, please someone hit me up and tell me so I can adjust the story. But is it going to make you uncomfortable? Yes. And should it have been made? I don't think some of the scenes needed to be filmed the way they were. And that's why I can't endorse this movie, but I wanted to sort of share my thoughts on this. This is an important topic that this movie is triggering, to be fair. That is fact. However, I don't think this film needs to be the poster child for it. I think, if anything, we shouldn't keep supporting this film because it's going to, I think, get the film in the wrong hands. It's already too late. It's already so worldwide. But it terrifies me to think of what disturbing people will do with this movie. I'll be honest. That really bothers me. And it's just, it's like, cool. Thanks, Netflix. Gross. And again, my reason of why did we need to do that? Why couldn't we have figured out older actors or something? Even that. But that's the problem of this movie, right? These are real 11-year-olds. And I don't like that dance sequence they did. And granted, there are other worse shows. I mean, if you watch any of these dance moms and shows, like, they're all bad. We should be boycotting all of them. Those dance competitions can get real gross, what they're teaching kids. So, look, it's an important conversation. I'm glad we're having it, but I think we shouldn't just focus it on this movie. Yes, this movie is a problem, but this movie is a movie. It is what it is. I think we have to talk about the broader issues of where else is this happening in society. How is this getting to this point? Because the reality is the stuff you see in this movie is happening in everyday life. And that should bother you guys even more than this movie, if we're being honest. So how do we fix that is really, to me, what the question should be for all of us. And I think it would be nice to see that if the movie or the filmmakers or Netflix could help us figure that out. And the marketing didn't help, let's be honest, right? And that seems to be the only thing they're sort of on. Like, oh yeah, I guess we shouldn't. But then why are you okay with it being in your movie? If you weren't okay with it being on the poster, why is it okay in the movie? To me is the real question here. I don't know. Because the message, guys, the message is important. That's so we can now use a message to then go exploit kids on camera. Cool. Got it. Then maybe, you know what, the conspiracies are right. What do I know? Look, it's a complicated topic. At the end of the day, though, I can't give this review, this movie, high marks. I don't suggest it. In fact, I don't think we should keep talking about it. I think it is what it is. I wanted to share, though, my thoughts, since a lot of you have been asking and been following this coverage of this movie. Now that it's up, it's there. Let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more reviews, commentary, and a lot of other stuff. I'm going to go take a shower.